Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here. This time I have a question that I think a lot of people want to ask and want to know about, but not many people talk about it. Why do most D&D campaigns end well before level 20? Let us know in the comments below. My friends and I have sort of come to the conclusion that D&D level system can be broken down into 4 broad sections. 1 to 4, you're a normal to well-trained person. 5 to 10 is what you could be called as a hero. 11 to 16, at this stage, you're some kind of demigod. Anything higher than 17, you're not immortal anymore. The last section, by the way, may sum up why the 20th level feels like the most fun though. It's the level where you are the most powerful. You're basically a god. If you can cast magic, you're flinging spells that transform reality at a whim. If you're a physical fighter, you're capable of taking on creatures that, in the lore, would wipe the floor with entire armies like ancient dragons, demigods, and extra-dimensional horrors. Most games that I play have leveling up done at the discretion of the DM, where we level up when the DM thinks we've done enough to warrant a new experience level, like taking down a particularly dangerous boss monster. But most campaigns also end well before level 20 because not every story has to end with becoming a god. I once knew a group who reached that stage, and their account was that they were so bored with what to do next at that level that they figured, frack it, let's just kill the god of death. And they did. Most games use this kind of progression to accompany your increasing power level, to make it feel like the threat is more serious to match your skills. If you can hypnotize an entire city or steal someone's couch from under them, if you're walking around wearing a cloak that makes you completely invisible if you're standing still, or a breastplate that hurts your attacker for as much as they hit you for, are you really that keen on a contract to kill 12 bandits in the woods outside of town? There's a reason the super strong Hercules wrestled stuff that made tin cans out of hoplite armor. Most stories even don't require hitting that illustrious max level. Not everyone is looking for a Final Fantasy-esque narrative where the story concludes with our team of once ordinary folks taking down a god. Not every story is long or grand enough for that. Some just want to overthrow a king or kill the resident dragon and call it a day. Sure, don't get me wrong, some people do get a kick out of walking around being gods. For other people though, it gets old after a short while. If you really like that feeling though, I highly recommend you try an Exalted campaign instead. It's a setting that just so happens to be designed for living life to the fullest as a demigod, where every solution involves, how epic can I make myself look while doing this? Great question. I've DM'd one campaign that lasted 25 years, from level 1 to 30. Oh my god, I've never heard of a level 30 campaign. In D&D 2nd edition, using the 2nd edition higher levels campaigns supplement that had a path from 20 to 30. I am DMing a campaign 3 years in, where players just reached 15. As a player, I played in exactly 2 campaigns where we got to level 20, and a few one-shots that had a start at 20. All of them were extremely fun, and yes, high-level play done right can be engaging for extended periods of time. The above, however, are the exceptions, not the norm. For everyone listed, there must have been 10 that were from 1 to 10 or less. Why did many of them end that soon? Well, people. People going through various life stages, losing interest, finding a significant other, having babies, finding new passions, etc. You name it, it happens. As a hobby for most people, Dungeons & Dragons will take a backseat to the rest of their lives. Anyone who has tried to maintain a consistent play schedule with good people will know that. The second reason are packaged adventures. They target low to mid-level, not as many high-level, plenty if you look hard enough though. Thirdly, players want to try all the different flavors of characters. If enough do that, it's easier for everyone to just roll up new characters. Fourth, DM inexperience with high-level, competent groups. There is a lot of information overload for DMs at high levels. They need to have a good sense of all the characters' capabilities both individually and working in concert with their party, which gets exponentially more complex as players get higher in level and monsters and encounters are much harder to pin down correctly. It is way easier to misjudge in either direction and cause a TPK or have a trivial encounter. As a result, you get DM burnout. I feel like I can give some perspective on this. I'm running a campaign that started in 2006, D&D 3.5. Yup, 13 years in the same campaign, and still several years to go to complete the story. 2 of the players are still playing their original starting characters, and the rest have joined in along the way, although some cases that was 10 years ago now. The first set of characters were created at level 1, had a personal prequel that got them to level 3, and then the group met. The group is now level 23 to 25. I predict the party will be level 30 or so when the campaign finally finishes. I have had 2 new players join in the last year, and I now have 6 full-time players. I routinely get feedback from my players about how awesome the campaign is in terms of story, scope, and the deviousness of my encounters. It's really kind of nice to hear, and it lets me know that I'm doing something right. Well then, how did I do it, and how can someone else do it? First, build the entire campaign world, expecting the campaign to go well past 20. There were game elements and house rules that I put in place right at the start that didn't pay off for over 10 years. I knew there was a chance I wouldn't need them if the campaign didn't last, but I also knew that it could not possibly last that long if I didn't do that work. Only a campaign that is built with the possibility for a truly epic scope will ever achieve that epic scope. Second, let your players achieve their personal ambitions at the same time that you are following your narrative. My players are heavily invested in the in-game world because their characters have done great things of lasting consequence, and they want to see what comes of these things. I don't mean just defeating dragons and liches, I mean saving existing nations, starting new ones, freeing enslaved people, etc. Events that have a weight that matters and that have ongoing repercussions and that the players can revisit because they feel responsible. Third, be ready to break the rules, but be consistent with how you do it. Very high-level play is rarely well balanced, so you will have to change things up to make it work right and to give the villains a chance against your powerful players. Keep in mind, players in general hate arbitrary rules that apply to them, but not the villains. The trick is to find ways to justify these sorts of things in ways that the players could take advantage of but won't because the contextual costs are too high. Sure, they could build all this crazy super magic, but they don't have sentries like the Lich had. Or they can't tie it back to a particular bloodline that is the only ones who can use it. Or they don't want to take specific feats needed to use the items. Or they don't want to stay in the one spot where the magic works, and so on. Just make sure to throw in enough stuff that the players can use to keep them interested, and be ready to deal with the situation if the players collectively decide to go all in on exploiting one of these narrow options in a way you didn't immediately foresee. Fourth, take a deep look at the game economy. Many games overvalue magic items, which is fine at low levels when magic is scarce, but which breaks down at mid to high levels because the players end up with so much of it. The best way to deal with that is to put lots of magic into the campaign, but make selling that magic be a very poor return on investment. That way, your NPC adversaries can have nearly as much magic as the players, allowing them to continue to challenge the players, but even when the players take all that magic away from them, the actual reward for using that magic is a modest upgrade, but selling it is also a modest upgrade. Fifth, the action economy is everything in high-level play. High-level players have a deep reservoir of powerful abilities that they can use over and over again. They can overwhelm even extremely powerful opponents because they are not as outclassed as they were at low levels. The difference between a 7th level party and a 9th level wizard is a massively greater one than the difference between a 17th level party and a 19th level wizard, which is in turn greater than the difference between a 27th level party and the 29th level wizard. So, what this all means is that one big powerful foe is generally going to get curb stomped by a high level party just because they get to throw so many more high power attacks and abilities back at that foe than the foe can throw at the party. The only way to deal with this is to make the foes have more actions in response, either by powerful minions or outright special boss abilities like the legendary actions and lair actions of 5th edition. Or how about both? 6th, prevent TPKs somehow, setting up something well in advance that will allow the party to recover from complete disaster. The longer a campaign runs, the greater there will be some combination of bad choices on your part and the player's part that will wipe everything. Be ready for it and deal with it in a way that makes sense in-game, or else everything will end right there. And finally, be ready for your campaign to end well before you get these rarefied levels anyhow. It takes work and strong player engagement to keep it up, and it's not going to happen often. I have never heard of a single campaign going on for 13 years unbroken with the same characters, yet here I am, and here my players are. I have more stories to tell for the campaign that I'm running, and I am deeply interested in seeing if I can play it all the way out. If you're ever listening in, tell us a little bit more about it. Why do most D&D campaigns end before level 20? Okay, reaching level 20 can take decades of real-life time, and most people don't have the commitment to follow a single campaign for more than 5 years. It is also hard for the DM to plan a campaign that'll last long enough to reach level 20. The challenges for a level 20 party must be massive. High-level demons, arch-liches, ancient dragons, in plural, demigods, in more plural, and so on. And even those might not be enough. Number 2, is it the most fun level to be a PC in? Absolutely not. For several reasons. Turns might take a really long time. Fighters have a lot of hits to make and several other actions. Wizards can cast very complex spells that are going to impact a lot of people. And as a DM, I will need to take control of a lot of epic NPCs in order to put a decent fight on the board. This can be really boring in the long run. The rules start to fail. When you get a lot of magical items and levels, it's really hard for you to miss a saving throw, and even in that case, another party member can save you almost immediately. So, here we are, wasting time with saving throws that will practically have zero impact. You have less character development. At level 20, your character already has a name and fame. You are almost a demigod if you're not already demigod now. You cannot forge your own name or create connections. You already have them. Basically, you can't suffer and enjoy the victories in the same way when you are level 20. This is the very same reason for Frodo being the main protagonist of Lord of the Rings instead of Gandalf. Now, it's great to see Gandalf fight a Balrog, but seeing him taking the ring all the way where it needs to go with little to no effort on his part would make for a very boring story. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know, why did your campaign end well before level 20? Or why do you think they often do? And how can we prevent it sometimes? All the love, please be safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.